Hi, everyone. I'm David Stein, President and CEO of Kuya Silver, and I'm very pleased to be able to announce our initial mineral resource estimate for the Bethania Silver Project and run you through some of the highlights today. This is the first time we've been able to do a 43101 resource estimate. It's based on the drilling we did last year, as well as some earlier sampling work we had. And we're very excited. You know, the project is just getting started. We're just scratching the surface, but it is nice to now have this initial resource as kind of a baseline to grow from. So in terms of some of the highlights, the indicated resources we've got are 5.85 million ounces of silver equivalent and about 8 million ounces of inferred silver equivalent. And I'll get into some more details in that shortly. One thing to note is that a good part of this initial resource is in basically the shallow part of the historical Bethania mine above the 4670 mine level, which was the main production at it, with relatively little work done below that. And what that tells us is that with this initial resource, which is already, I think bigger than what we were expecting internally, and so much of it being at the upper shallow levels of the mine, that as we do drill this system deeper, as well as along strike, it should get a lot bigger. So we're very, very excited to see that. Okay, let's get into it. So before we get into the details of the resource, just the big picture where we are. This is the yellow star is the Bethania project. That's where the mine is located, the historical mine, and the mine concession is the black rectangle there. Now, we recently announced in November that we acquired all this pink area around it, including some high priority targets for us, both to the north and the south of the mining concession. So we look forward to getting in the field and starting to add some targets or satellite zones to our project. And then over here where the circle is, that is the Carmelita project, which is a artisanal mine. It's smaller than Bethania, but it has a lot of similarities to Bethania. That is why we focused on it and eventually acquired it last year. It's got silver, lead, zinc veins that come right to surface, that were being mined at a small scale, and we really like the potential there. It's only 3 kilometers away, so in addition to it being a potential upside resource opportunity for us, it's also a mining opportunity in the sense that we could truck anything that we find here that's economic, could be trucked over to Bethania. So that is another focus area for us as we go forward. But back to Bethania, the main mine area, that's where the resource is. So it's all around the existing mine workings, essentially. There, we were able to identify from drilling 18 different veins that have resources on them. And what we ended up doing is kind of simplifying it into vein systems. So I'll talk about that in a second. But let's start with the 18 veins. That's based on the 5,000 meter drill program and the previously collected underground rock chip samples that we had in our database. So you can see here just on the silver metal itself, we are a silver company. Silver is the most important metal for us. We've got 4.3 million ounces in the indicated category and 5.6 million in the inferred category. So that is about 70% of the metal value of this resource based on our metal price assumptions that we did when we calculated the silver equivalent. So you can see our notes for that if you're interested. Okay, now the vein systems themselves, as I said, we've split them into 3 groups of veins systems that have some kind of close association with each other. We call it the Espanola vein system, Doce de Mayo. The Espanola vein itself, the big one, and the bigger Doce de Mayo vein, those are 2 of the bigger producers, as well as the Victoria vein historically. In terms of the other, I guess 15 veins, they either go with the Espanola vein system, the Doce de Mayo vein system, or the Victoria vein system. So that is how we are splitting this up. Doce de Mayo had the deepest drill hole on it. We have a resource estimate down to 230 meters from surface. These types of deposits can still go much, much deeper than that, hundreds of meters deeper. So, in our view, so obviously that will be tested in the future for us, but we're still relatively shallow here with these resources. And of course, Espanola and Victoria are even shallower than that. Okay, let's go to the veins now themselves. Espanola is the biggest resource for us, the Espanola vein system. It's very similar in terms of the strike length to Doce de Mayo, but there is historically much less mining that occurred here. So that helps to boost the resource as compared to Doce de Mayo, even though they are very similar in a lot of ways. So this one has, the Espanola vein system has almost half of our current resource, just a little less than half. But what you can see here is the cutoff that we did the resource estimate. It's not an economic cutoff, but it's what we used for the resource estimate is about 3 ounces or 100 grams per ton. So that would be the light green there. The orange and the red is sort of more of your average, and then the pink is what would be higher grade ore for us. So a lot of high grade we're seeing in the Espanola vein system, very typical of other epithermal vein systems, whether they're in Mexico, Peru, or somewhere else. What you see is these undulating or patterns of higher grade and lower grade, and these chutes as well. The chutes of Espanola look pretty vertical, actually. You'll see in Doce de Mayo, they look like not so vertical, but nevertheless, you can see there that we've got open potential at depth here, as well as along strike. So we're very excited. Espanola is going to be really important for us. Now, if we move to Doce de Mayo, couple of things you can notice here. Again, the undulating pattern of lower grade and higher grade, but much more mining has taken place historically. You can see a lot of those white boxes there. Those are mined out stopes, obviously not part of the resource. And so therefore, Doce de Mayo is got fewer resources than at the moment, anyway. We'll see what happens in the future, than Espanola. Now, one thing to note, Doce de Mayo and Espanola, we've drilled them to about a strike length, if we look over here, of about 650 meters now. So it's the estimate goes a little further than what we had thought about previously. I've talked about 500 meters. So we're able to go a little bit further with this resource estimate, just with those 2 vein systems though. And the whole mine concession, that black area that I showed you earlier, is about 1.5 kilometers. So 650 meters is about a third of the property. And so there's still a lot of potential along strike. Okay, lastly, the Victoria vein system. Not as much drilling along strike here, as you can see. There was a fair bit of mining. This is known to be a high grade vein, so there was a fair bit of mining. You can see in the white boxes there, that's mined out. But nevertheless, still we got a pretty nice resource here with Victoria. It's still open at depth and along strike, and we've got kind of high hopes for this. Victoria actually does cross over Doce de Mayo, but we are able to distinguish between the two, and Victoria seems to be an important one as well. So that's why we've kind of separated it out as its own vein system. And that is it. Thank you for your attention and your interest in this exciting news. And let us know if you've got any questions. Here's how to reach us.